I'm going to try an experiment in today's vlog. Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Richard Vobes. I'm going to try an experiment because you may remember, if you're a regular viewer, that I had a small problem. Well, quite a big problem really, and an expensive problem. I was filming in the kitchen, as I often do, and I inadvertently, in order to rush to get to the lights, which I have all around me at the moment, trying to make the shots interesting as I film, as interesting as I can. I'm no expert at all, and I'm learning as I do this. But in order to make this interesting, I was rushing to the lights to move a light, and I tripped over the tripod, and my camera fell to the ground, and a lens went tumbling down. This lens, in fact, this rather beautiful Sigma lens, 18 to 35 millimeter for my Canon camera. It's a heavy lens, it's a beautiful lens, and I love this lens, but it fell to the ground and it broke. And you may remember, if you're a regular viewer, you will notice that this section actually came completely clean off, couldn't be reattached because all the mechanism on the inside, the little circuit board and the little wires had become detached. It was a bit of a mess. However, the rest of the lens was still there. Nothing was broken. It hadn't been scratched as far as I could tell, and everything else was pretty much working. Only it was completely useless because this end is the bit that attaches to the camera, and without this section you can't attach the lens to the camera, even if you wanted to just use it on the manual settings rather than the automatic settings or the autofocus, which is one of the benefits of these sort of lenses, and it works with the autofocus mechanism of my camera. Now, I'm being very careful, by the way, as I put this down, because this experiment is a bit of a love letter to Tony Stent, because Tony Stent very much advised me to go and get this lens fixed, and I was unaware really that, I mean, I've had this lens, it's a Sigma lens. I was unaware that they had a UK office. So he said, no, they're very friendly people. He used to be in the photo business, you see. And he said, go and have a chat with them, explain what's happened, and they'll give you a quote, and it'll be a very competitive quote, and they'll get it done for you. And they'll, you know, it's their lens, so they know exactly what to do with it. Well, I got in touch with Sigma, and they were extremely helpful. They asked me to send the lens over, which I did in the two bits that needed to go together. And within, I think the next day, I sent it by recorded post. By the next day, I had a quote for the repair. It was a very competitive price. And within 2 or 3 days that me paying them, the lens was back. It came back today. I mean, I have to say, I'm absolutely impressed with the service. Now, I'm going to try the lens. I'm going to put it on the camera. This is the test because I want to show you why I love this particular lens. Now, a big thanks to Sigma for their wonderful help. Now, I have no idea. I haven't tried the lens, so this will be embarrassing if it doesn't work. But I want to show you why I like the 18 to 35 millimeter lens. And despite the fact that it's big, heavy and chunky, and that obviously I've got to be a hell of a lot more careful in the future because the lens I'm filming with at the moment is a Canon lens, or my Canon camera, and it's a wide angle lens. It's 10 to 18 millimeter. So it's not, I'm not doing a comparison as lens for lens or focal length to focal length, but I want to demonstrate why I like this lens because what it does to the image. Hopefully you'll see what I mean. I am not really a cinematographer. I love photography and I love movie photography, particularly videography, cinematography. I do love that, and I appreciate how a lens can really make it just look nice, more professional, more interesting, more sumptuous, the colours, you know, I mean, ultimately it's just a piece of glass, but it's what the glass does as a prism, I suppose, to colours, and that's what really interests me. I'm not a geek when it comes to this. I know that there are 3 different formats of basically of video cameras: full frame, APS-C, and the other one, micro four thirds. There you go. And there are probably other ones as well, but they're the main ones that I know and understand. And each has their advantages and disadvantages, of course. And then you have mirrorless cameras and DSLRs, single lens reflex, but D being the digital single lens reflex. Anyway, I don't want to bore all of this with too much technicality, because I know that there'll be plenty of people watching who are like, what are you on about, Vobesy? I don't understand. And that's not really the point of it. I'm no professional, so this may come out completely different, and you're going to say, come on, get on with it, Vobes. I also have here one of these, which is an ND filter. I forget what number this is actually. Does it say on it? It should say on it, but I don't know that it does. I think it's an ND2. I think. Hang on, what is it? 72 mil. Doesn't actually. It should say what it is, but it doesn't. But it's basically they always describe them as sunglasses for cameras. It means that in bright light, you can stop down a bit and reduce having to have the camera fully on. Sorry, you can open the lens a bit rather than having it stopped right down to f22 or whatever. But in low light, the great advantage of sticking on one of these is, depending on the light, is you reduce the depth of field. Anyway, that's all technical stuff. I don't want to get into that because I know I'm going to say something out of the panic to talk in the vlog and realise I've said something rubbish. And we all do that. By the way, can I just say, those people who are very quick to criticise when somebody says something and makes a mistake, when you've got the camera on in front of you, right? And you'll know this because you've either done it yourself on your mobile phone, or you've been in conversation with something and you've said something and someone said to you, oh, sorry, what did you say? We don't get it right all the time and we make silly mistakes. We all do it. So, you know, give us a bit of slack. Somebody emailed me today, and it was in the show yesterday on the afternoon tea show, about the grammar police. We all make silly mistakes, and yet people are so quick in the comments or so quick on social media to go, no, you don't mean there, you mean there as in belonging to them, not there over there. And it's like, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, that wasn't really the point of the piece I was writing. Oh, you didn't check it, did you? Oh, you've got to get your grammar right. It's like, yeah, okay, one does one's best. I'm just sorry, that's the Vobes vent, done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap the lens over now. And hopefully I'm going to now demonstrate why I like the lens and not find it's a problem. So let's see how that goes. I shall click my fingers and we'll be there. And I've changed the lens. So we're on autofocus because I want to just check that the autofocus works. And I've had to change a few things to try and get the colour, or sorry, the exposure about the same. So there's a little bit technical stuff here now. Whereas before I was filming at something like f5, or f5, yeah, not 5.6, with 800 ASA, just so people get those people that know can work this out. Whereas now I'm filming for the effect that I want is I think it's 2.2, and I think the lens opens just that fraction more at let's have a look, at 200 ASA. Okay, so that's the technical. Now, why? Excuse me. There's a lot of light pointing at me, but the purpose of this is to diffuse the background just that little bit more, giving me a bit of separation from the background. So not only have I lit myself, and less of the background, although there is a light there, I wanted to separate myself so you focus more on me, not because I'm egocentric, but it can be quite distracting having the back. Now, I haven't looked at the results, so I'm waxing lyrical about this lens, but I can tell you, because I want to say thank you to Sigma, because they've done a great job, and maybe there are other places of course available that will do the same thing, but because it's their lens and it was a second-hand lens to me, I was just very impressed. So I haven't looked at the results, but I wanted to make sure that the autofocus is working, and it's working okay. It seems to be working. I hope I'm in focus. And I changed of course, I've zoomed in just a little bit, because the more I zoom in, the more separation and the more diffused that will happen. So for example, I'm going to zoom in. So everything's gone a bit haywire. It'll take a second. So I'm now here, zoomed in, and so the background is even more diffused and defocused, although of course you're seeing more of my ugly face. So let me just take that back. And if I take it right back to where I was, something like that, it should still be okay. So now you may look at this and go, I can't see any difference. I've not changed the lights. I've only changed the setting on the camera to reflect what it was for the f5 lens. So an f5 lens means it's closed up a lot more than f2. f2 is much more. So more lights in, it means that the processor doesn't need to be as sensitive. It's sensitive, but it doesn't need to be, the gain doesn't need to go up, so you get less grain. It should be a better picture. Anyway, whatever. I mean, that's just the technical side of things. So this is just simply a little test, really. This is the other lens. You saw the size of the first lens. This is a wide-angle lens, and this goes from 10 to 18. I think I mentioned that before. Unfortunately, my what's-the-name doesn't go on. Now, if I put this on and make adjustments, it should, in theory... Shall we try it? Why not? I hope this isn't too boring and just a bit, but it's a little bit of photography stuff. If I put this on, even on the inside, it should make a bit of a difference. So I'm going to do that. I could do that live. When I say live, I mean I could do that as we speak. Hang on. So the picture will go a bit weird, because I'm just going to take off. This is, let's let the autofocus come back. This is the sun glare cover. There's probably a name for it, sun shield or something. So I'm going to try now with this. You'll see, here's, look. You can see that makes a bit of a difference, but I'll screw it on properly. As I get closer to the camera, you'll notice that actually what's going on is that I'm nearer the light, so I'm more exposed. Right. So you can see how dark it's gone. I need to open it up. So hold on a minute now. I need to reach. How much open does this go? That's 1.8. Okay. That means I've opened it, but it's still not enough. I know I've gone to a bit blurry. And now, oh, here we go. I'm going to up the ASA, a gnat's nickel-egg, to somewhere there. That should make the background even more. Is it found my face yet? Here am I. It's found part of me. I have a little box that goes on my face when I'm in focus. I'm hoping it's done that. I'm moving about like this. It's found my shoulder. Look, it's found my shoulder. So hopefully I can tell it to look at my face. There we go. It's found my face. So hopefully that is the same. I feel that it could go up just a fraction. So I'm sorry, this is a bit of a funny old test. There we go. Is that better? Let's tell it to find my face again. The focus. There. I'm pressing it, but oh, I've got to come out of that section. Sorry. There we go. It's found me. So there we are. That should be even more. And finally, if I zoom in as I did before, the separation now, I need to tilt up. The separation should be bigger. I'm doing this test. I'm hoping this all works, and I'm hoping it's a bit bearable. It's kind of a lesson in lens photography. I don't know half of it. I mean, my lighting situation is a bit rubbish, but I'm doing this quickly. Get me English going. But anyway, so thanks, Tony, for your advice, which was very kind of him, and his help in communicating with Sigma. A big thank you to Sigma for, the lens is on the camera, of course, for doing that. And I need to be a lot less clumsy and more thoughtful. I tell you what, you probably only do that once. I could find the lens, I could get one for about £500, but that looked quite knackered. There was a decentish one for about 700. I don't know what they are new, but they must be about £1,000 or more. And there are other, cause there are other lenses which are just as good, and a lot of lenses cost a couple of £1,000 for some really good ones. But I'm very happy with this for the YouTube and what I'm doing. So big thanks to everybody who's helped. And yeah, we'll be back to the normal rubbish in the next vlogs and what have you. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to take care of my lovely little lenses, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.